This is Daniel Yoxheimer, and this is another episode of The Spectre. And I was going to talk about some other stuff that happened, obviously, in the past week that would be more pertinent, but I don't want to talk about it because it's too depressing, and I'm sick of hearing about depressing shit. One thing that kind of depressed me is David Letterman is, and I'm kind of happy because it was time. I mean, he needed to. It was his time, and he'd been on the air quite a few years, and I grew up with him. And I actually haven't watched David Letterman in a lot in recent years. I was David, and when I was a kid, when I was growing up, and I was probably almost before I was 10 years old, and you have the old VCR with the VHS cassette, putting that in there, I would tape Letterman and watch it before I went to school in the morning, and watching stuff a lot of other kids' parents wouldn't let them watch. So, well, my parents let me watch it because I had so many problems in school. They just at least let me watch that, I guess. But Dave Letterman was Carson was funny as hell too, but Dave Letterman was just this. He was. If you were an awkward kid in school at that time and you discovered him, he made you laugh. He said, "Look, I'm a screwball. I have my own damn show, even though it's on at after like midnight or whatever." But he had his own. He was some dude. He was every guy in America, every dork, every nerd. Not every guy in America, but every nerd and dork who was able to use his wit and his sardonic humor to counter whatever was thrown at him. And that's what I think I took away from David Letterman in what he meant to me comedically, I think, growing up. Because he was the show, I'm like a huge Conan fan now, and I think that sort of comes from that, because him and Andy Richter did a lot of really, cool things comedically with their show. I don't like Jay Leno. I don't think I ever watched Jay Leno. I liked Jay Leno before he was the Tonight Show host, actually. I loved his stand-up. When I was a kid, I loved Jay Leno's stand-up, but when he became the Tonight Show host, I barely ever watched Jay Leno for some reason. I don't know. I just didn't watch it, but I watched Conan. And, I watched The Daily Show, and of course Jon Stewart. Jon Stewart's actually leaving this year too. I don't know. Late night TV's sort of this thing. It's like this Game of Thrones. There's a few late night network type shows. You know what I mean? Like on CBS and NBC, Jimmy Kimmel, and I think he's on ABC. I like Jimmy Kimmel, but I don't really watch them. I don't have too much time to watch shows. I got freaking, Game of Thrones. Because this is actually, I'm not even at home most of the time because I'm away. My fiance has a travel job, so I have to go with her because we have one car, and stay there for part of the month. So I'm not here, and so I don't get to watch all my shows on demand because we don't have that in the motel. We're staying at the Travel Lodge, so we don't have all that, so I can't watch all my shows. So we come home and we got the DVR and all our Game of Thrones and Penny Dreadful and Nurse Jackie type stuff we watch. So we have to, I don't watch all the, I don't even keep up on watching The Daily Show. I love The Daily Show, but I watch it on demand as time allots, I have other things I need to do, like play Grand Theft Auto and do the dishes and vacuum and feed the cats and clean the litter box and then play Grand Theft Auto or some of the other video games I have, Mortal Kombat, because I'm at home a lot. But I did, when I was growing up, you had Atari and Pong, and you had, I guess, Letterman, and you had whatever else trouble you got into with, like fire and, trashing, little stores downtown like we did when we were kids. That's what we did. We sort of ransacked stores and trashed them. Actually, that's not true. I didn't do that. Some of my other friends did, but I didn't. I wasn't one of those skateboarder punks. No. Anyway, not that I'm putting down kids that ride skateboards. I didn't mean that. That was more of a joke, of course. Because God, I don't want to offend skateboarders. But in any case, Letterman was. I saw the final episode. It was really funny. I'm gonna play a couple of clips at the end of at the end of this video, which is pretty much soon here because I don't have much more to say about it. But in the 80s, David Letterman, just to give you an idea, the stuff I really loved on David Letterman is a few of the bits I loved. He always did some crazy over the top little stunt, before, and this is when he was in a little shitty studio. Like it was this, the door, how he entered into doing his monologue, it was like one of those doors with the little like push lock, like the door you would see like an emergency exit door. That's kind of sort of how he came into the studio, which was probably because it was just a little studio, and it was much more cramped back then, and he'd come out and do his monologue and rip on a lot of people, and Howard Stern would come on a lot, and Andy Kaufman, and the guy from American Splendor, who had that really scraggly voice. He was cranky all the time. I'm trying to think of his name. I'll have to look his damn name up. But Harvey something, shoot. I have American Splendor comics. I don't know why I don't know his name. But look it up. Splendor. Harvey P. Carr. It was Harvey P. Carr. Yeah, Harvey P. Carr would come on Letterman a lot. I didn't know who he was. He'd come on there like, "Hey, Dave," he'd just be all pissed. He had crazy characters. He had like, not like it was now. I mean, it got more. I mean, of course, it got more Hollywood and sanitized to some extent. But I mean, he had, just like Harvey P. Carr and Andy Kaufman. They put a clip of him on the final episode, and he would do crazy stuff, and he would come on there with a neck brace on and saying this wrestler broke his neck in some match, and just because Andy Kaufman would wrestle people, and he would wrestle women as a bit of a put on, and because that's what was funny back then. That was sort of that version. That was like Jackass back then in a way. So Letterman was just really, it's just an end of an era, because it was just like, that was my whole youth growing up, was David Letterman. I mean, he spoke to my generation, and he kind of had his own way of, his own sense of humor, his own brand, and he didn't give a shit if you didn't like it. And it's just amazing. He's one of those people, it's like you don't know how he got successful. You couldn't imagine him not being successful in entertainment and doing a talk show, because he's just had that ability he had the ability to make you laugh, to make you feel like he was on your, he didn't speak down to you at the same time. And if someone came on this show, and I'm going to show this clip here, who was full of shit, he could just whip it out and say, "You're full of shit." He just did it so, especially with Bill O'Reilly, he was able to, completely just eviscerate his, and just really show who Bill O'Reilly actually is. And I'm going to show this clip right now, and this is why I love David Letterman.
Want the United States to win in Iraq? Well, in the beginning, here was my position in the beginning, and I think I sort of felt the way everybody did. We felt like we wanted to do something because something terrible had been done to us. We did not understand exactly why. All we knew was something terrible, something heinous, something obscene had been done to us. So while it didn't necessarily make as much sense to go into Iraq as it did perhaps going into Afghanistan, I, like most everybody else, felt like, yes, we need to do something. We need to do something. And as the weeks turned into months and into years, and one death became a dozen deaths, and 100 deaths, and 1,000 deaths, then we began to realize, you know what, maybe we're causing more trouble over there than the whole effort has been worth.
Possible. But do you want, right now, do you want the United States to win in Iraq?
First of all, I don't...
It's an easy question. If you don't want the United States to
It's
win
not
in
easy
Iraq,
for me because I'm thoughtful. How about that? That was a good one.
that was great, Dave. You get paid for those.
No, but what I would like would be for Americans to stop dying and for there to be stability in that part of the world. Now, if that means an American victory, okay. But I'm not sure that you can have stability in that part of the world with or without an American presence now. So I would do whatever it takes to stop Americans
Do
dying.
you think that before the Iraq invasion started, there was stability in that part of the world? Do you believe that?
Well, let me ask you a question. Was there more heinous, more dangerous violence taking place then in Iraq, or is there more heinous, dangerous violence taking place now in Iraq?
It's pretty much a tie.
Well, then how can we...
Oh, stop it. Come on. Saddam Hussein slaughtered 400,000 people, all right? So knock it off. It's a situation that's fluid, but here's the deal. You can object to the politics.
That wasn't the reason we went over there.
No,
we went over there because there was weapons of mass destruction. It turned out there were no weapons of mass destruction.
Right.
And now, what everybody is saying, what about Kim Jong-il? Not only are we guessing that he has weapons of mass destruction, he's saying, hey, look at me! We're setting another one off! Come on over!
Yeah, I don't think that's a guess, Dave. I think when he sets it off,
why don't we go there? Because he actually has weapons of mass destruction.
Why don't we go there and do what? What do you want to do? You want to drop an atomic bomb?
What were we supposed to do going into Iraq then?
What we were supposed to do is that the United States government believed that Saddam had a WMDs, okay? And they were wrong. People make mistakes in war. Now, Tony Blair was wrong, Colin Powell was wrong, all these people were wrong.
So that means we've made a mistake in war, so we stay there and kill as many Americans as we possibly can. That's the way you get out of a mistake.
No. What you do is you try to maximize...
And do you honestly believe, irrespective, I don't care, irrespective of what the... Oh, sure, help yourself.
We're really friends. This is all an act. We're buddies, we bowl.
But irrespective of what the United States... Let's say, to your way of thinking, the United States prevails militarily in Iraq.
Right.
How long do you think stability in that part of the world will last?
It's impossible to say, but...
Well, then would it have been worth it?
Listen,
if it's stable for the next 1,000 years, then George Bush is a genius. Is that going to happen? Is it going to be stable for another 1,000 years?
How do I know? Am I Karnak here or what?
What's your best guess?
What I'm trying to tell you
What is your best guess?
I don't know. What I'm trying to tell you is this is geopolitics in the world we live in is incredibly complicated. The reason to go into Iraq was WMDs with a mad dictator, okay? That was the reason. It was wrong. If we could go back in a time machine, we wouldn't do it.
But how does staying there killing more and more Americans make it right? How do you make a right decision out of a wrong decision?
If you get out of it.
It looks to me like the country is going to fall apart anyway, regardless of what people do. Do you think stability will prevail over there?
If you get out of Iraq and leave it in chaos, Iran comes in, takes over, all right? And then we basically have a 10 times worse situation because the oil flow then goes under the jihadists in Iran. You want to debate geopolitics with me? Really?
It's all about oil. You just answered the question.
Absolutely, it's all about oil. The whole world is about oil.
Right. It's all about oil. That's why we're there. Big deal.
The show's not going to be on
left and right.
All right, look. You actually think that we're a bad country for doing what we did, and Bush is an evil man? Is that what you're putting forth here?
I don't know that I think that he's evil. I think he's misguided. I think that in the beginning, like I said, we needed to do something. People wanted to feel like we were doing something. People wanted to feel like the attack was going to be accounted for. Well, to my way of thinking, the attack really hasn't been accounted for. And beyond that...
It hasn't been accounted for in the sense that we made... Look, everybody
beyond that, terrorism now is a far more... It's white hot. where previous to the disruption in Iraq, it was a fact of life. It was a gruesome fact of life. But now it's become a damn intramural sport.
Hold it. I think it was pretty white hot on 9/11 when 3,000 people were slaughtered in the streets of the city. So what you're doing is you're making a mistake of oversimplifying a very complicated situation.
Oh, I'm oversimplifying.
Yes, you are. We made a mistake on WMDs. That is true.
All right, solve the mistake. Correct the mistake.
The mistake cannot be corrected. But what can happen is, and I'm praying it is happening, is that we stabilize that situation over there so that it becomes a functioning democracy. It might not happen, but the intent was noble. To make it a democracy, to make Afghanistan a democracy, to put pressure on the Iranians who are causing all kinds of trouble.
But why did we stay in Afghanistan? Why did we stay in Afghanistan? It seemed to me that Afghanistan was more directly the source. I mean, there's been no tie proven between Saddam Hussein and Al Qaeda, the Taliban, anything.
You know what Ansar al-Islam is? Do you know what that is? You don't. All right, and I'm not saying this in a condescending way. I'm really not. Okay? I'm not going to call you a bonehead or a pinhead. Right? Ansar al-Islam was the al-Qaeda affiliate in northern Iraq that tried to poison the British water supply with ricin. They operated with Saddam Hussein's okay. Again, complicated, but it isn't so black and white, Dave. It isn't we're a bad country, Bush is an evil liar.
I didn't say we were a bad country. I didn't say he was an evil liar.
Good.
You're putting words in my mouth. Just the way you put artificial facts in your head.
All right.
Wow, isn't Bill O'Reilly a dick? Anyway, to kind of bring some levity to it all, to my little, well, I would self-admittedly say rather lame tribute to David Letterman. I'm gonna play a tribute to a very forgotten classic figure. You can find them all over YouTube probably, but I'm incorporating into my segment here on this episode of The Spectre. The Flunky the Late Night Clown, one of my favorite characters when I was a kid. He was he would basically come on, he had a lot of problems, he was always smoking a cigarette, not very cheery, making blue animals type of clown, but it was a classic character on the early days of the David Letterman show. So here is the clip, and that's going to be the end of my show. And this is Danny Jocksheimer, the Spectre. I'm going to play it out with this. So anyway, take care of yourselves all. Hope you enjoy this. And if you like my vids, subscribe if you feel like it. I would. I mean, what? Can't hurt. Anyway, take care.
New York. You know, Scott, the truth of the matter is I just dabble in comedy here. If you really want to learn to be funny, you need to work with a seasoned professional. And, well, now you can, thanks to an exciting new program started by our own Flunky, the late night viewer male clown. Flunky, come on out here and tell the folks about it. Where is Flunky? Flunky, the late night. Hi, Flunky. Have a seat, buddy. So, Flunky, you actually founded a school where you can teach clowning techniques, huh?
Uh-huh.
Yeah, and what made you start up the school?
Well, I had to make some money to pay my doctor because I had a bad case of conjunctivitis, you know, pink eye.
Oh, sure, yeah. Now, Ringling Brothers, they run a clown college where they teach trampoline stunts and how to ride elephants. I guess you teach stuff like that, huh?
Well, no, it's more like we go down in my basement and, you know, I show them the big shoes and how to honk a horn.
Yeah. Sounds like a lot of fun.
Well, it gets pretty damp down there.
Yeah. Do you teach them any of the clown classic routines?
Yeah, well, I do one of those things where a bunch of guys stuff into one car.
Yeah. Oh, that's great. Where they have a little tiny car and like dozens and dozens of clowns just keep piling on. They're all cramped in there like that.
Well, no, it was a Dodge Dart that was in my neighbor's yard. And I only had 2 students, you know. It was really pretty comfortable.
Pretty comfortable then for you, huh? Yeah. Well, how about the people who graduate from the clown school? How are they doing?
Well, I think one of them's suing me. he claims he got his eye put out.
Oh, that's too
and
bad.
The other one disappeared somewhere down south. I don't know. Maybe he's doing carnival work.
Yeah. Well, whatever you do, good luck, Flunky. And it sounds like you're opening up a whole new vista for comedy.
Yeah, right.